Welcome to episode 5 of the Inside Sports Podcast. That's with the DE capitalized. It's Cole, Joey, Jordan. We're going to catch you up with some dogs at the vet. We got SIU women's soccer going 1-0-1 this week with a 1-0 win over Indiana State and then a 1-1 tie against a pretty good Northern Iowa team. So, it looks like we're trending up still. We currently sit at 6-3-3, 3-1-2 in the Missouri Valley, and we are number 3 in the Missouri Valley Conference standings. So that kind of Cinderella season we talked about having before the year, it's kind of looking like it's coming to fruition. I don't want to jump the gun on it, but it's in the cards. We'll just say that. They got a game against Murray State at home this Thursday, and then another game at home against a team that we've already beaten in Indiana State for the last home game of the year on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I mean, who really thought that we would be at this point in the standings, at this point in the season, too? I mean, I won't lie. I didn't really think it would happen, but nevertheless, I'm pleasantly surprised to have this type of performance out of the girls this year. And I think it's shaping up to be a pretty exciting finish of the year. We got 4 games left, 2 at home, 2 on the road to finish it out. Be a pretty exciting finish to see where we end up in the standings.
Absolutely. And we're at the point now we can put our predictor hat on, start looking at the rest of the schedule, and we can go, okay, that might be a win. We've never been able to do that before. You've never been able to look at a schedule and be like, okay, that should be a win. Like you said, with Indiana State, a team we've already beaten, we can do that now. Just shows how great this defense has been playing, like you were saying. This is a wave that I hope we keep riding for as long as possible because it's awesome.
Whose defense could look to improve is Oklahoma's.
Oklahoma's defense,
against,
yes.
Oh, that's weird. That's weird. How'd that get on?
We did not plan this, right?
Anyways, so yeah, let's talk about the women's volleyball team. How they've been doing this year.
So they're coming off of 2 pretty dominating road wins over Evansville and Indiana State. They sit at 11-7, 4-2 in the Missouri Valley Conference, which is, like we've said in the past couple of weeks, much better than years past. They only got I believe they didn't have any wins last year in the conference.
No,
so,
they didn't.
It's just pretty impressive that they have a positive record over there in the conference this year. But for next week, they got Friday, they're over at Belmont, and then Saturday, they're over at Missouri State. Missouri State. I meant Murray State again. We got a really nice groove right now after we kind of dominated, these past couple road wins. Fast starts have seemed to be what has worked with sets this year for us, and we just look much better. Natalie Garcia, she won MVC Player of the Week. And then CeCe Bowman, how we keep going back to her, she won Freshman of the Week this year in the conference. So
I remember I wrote a story early in the season talking to both of them, and they kind of said that they have such a nice blend of both veterans and freshmen and younger players who make such a great impact, and we're clearly seeing that even being recognized at the Missouri Valley Conference level too.
Yeah, so and this week was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect storm.
And they're 5th place in the standings right now. Just one more chance to reel off 2 more conference wins, see where they're at in the standings after these next 2 wins, and the final stretch of the season is coming. So I kind of just like soccer, I guess. It'll be an exciting finish, and we'll see how they end up.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, these 2 games this weekend against Belmont and Murray State must win because some other stuff might be happening at the top. Top teams play each other. There's a big chance to move up in the standings against 2 teams that, record-wise and standing in the conference may not be as good per se as we hope to be. So great season, just like soccer, like you guys were saying. That's awesome. Now over to the Gridiron. Another big road win, this time at Missouri State, a team that has given us a lot of trouble regardless of record, regardless of where we were playing them. Crushed us here last year, Cole. I know you talked to Branson Combs, who was on the show, about that a lot yesterday, and he had a lot to say about that. And they played with a vengeance this past Saturday, 38-21. Currently sitting at 4-2. That's 4 straight wins on the season, 3-0 in conference. I mean, you're undefeated in conference, and look what we've got coming up toward the end of the season. That's huge. I mean, getting these wins out of the way now, that is absolutely huge. Homecoming this week against Western. That place is going to be rocking. Mm-hmm. Let's set another attendance record just like we did last year. And our passing game, that's the part that me personally as a fan, I've been looking for to take the next step with the 2 Cox brothers on the outside. Both of them had 100 yards receiving. Nick Baker over 250. This is a recipe for success. Defense is playing a lot better. This is what we need to keep going forward. I'm not going to say anything crazy yet. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say it's coming, though. Because if we keep winning, I might say some crazy stuff.
We look very, very good. And like he teased, we talked to Branson yesterday, that'll be during this episode that'll be up next in our Saluki Space segment, we talked to Branson a lot about how not only himself, but the defense has done a great job in these past 4 weeks creating turnovers, getting us the ball more, and that has been a huge propellant as to why we've done good. Obviously, Branson Combs having that, his second interception of the season in our last game against Missouri State.
Yeah, and then just one thing I want to point out, a highlight player of last week that really helped push us to that win was freshman Sean Lester. He got his first couple snaps of the season, and he was impressive. 17 rushes for 81 yards. Really good opening day for the new guy. Really proud of him. He was there with our other running backs, just kind of dominating on that, running back room.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive.
That's a deep running back room.
Yes, it is.
3 or 4 guys who can take the rock at any point.
Yes, it is. All right, well, that'll do it for Dogs at the Vet. Now on to Saluki Space. Today, for Saluki Space, we have star linebacker for the Southern Illinois Salukis, Branson Combs, who actually was just coming off of his second interception of the year against Missouri State. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
How you doing today? What's going on?
I'm good. Haven't had too much. Just class in the morning, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm just chilling.
Kind of chilling today. Yep.
I gotcha. So, let's just dive right in with the first question. So if you could live with any member of the team, who's last on your list? And then why are they last on your list? Like, who are you like, I'm not living with this guy?
Last. I lived with a couple of linemen, Chase and Day,
Yeah.
and love them to death. Some of my best friends, but
Uh-huh.
they're a little on the messier end.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love living with them. But that was
a clean
messier.
slate. You're not.
I'd rather have
yourself.
I'd rather have it a little cleaner.
I gotcha.
So I mean, that was a. I don't know. I still like living with them though. So I don't know last who I'd pick though.
All right.
I don't know if I got one.
Still calling out the lineman.
I feel like that'll come to me. I'll think of it at some point. I'll be like, oh, I would not want to live with
Yeah,
that
just
guy.
bring it up. Just in the middle
Yeah,
of
I'll
the
throw it
play.
out there.
Go for it. Yeah.
So since you guys play on Saturdays, Sunday is really the only day that you would have to watch any college or professional football. So do you watch NFL on Sunday?
Yeah. We stayed home, watch it. Usually we'll watch games on Saturday because we'll have.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do if we play 2. We've got our morning thing. We go in for breakfast, and those are kind of tougher to watch. But like on the bus rides home or stuff, watch them on our phones. College football, and then if we play at night, like we'll have a little break from 11ish to like. So we played at 6, 11 to 2ish. We'd have a break, and to just kind of chill in the hotel room if we're at away or if we're at home, kind of just stay at our house. So we can get some of like the morning games, watch those. But yeah, so it's more Sunday being able to watch NFL rather than college.
Favorite NFL player right now? Just one.
Right now, well, see, I had the receiver days, so it's probably gonna be. I always liked I liked Julio growing up, but now I think just watching his routes is Devontae Adams. I don't know, some of the stuff he does off the line, I just think is just amazing watching it. So I'd say that's probably like my favorite to watch. I don't know if I really have like a favorite, but I'd say that's probably my favorite to watch.
Man, it's a shame Joey isn't here.
It's a
That's
shame
his
Joey isn't here.
favorite
Really?
player.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you play multiple sports in high school, or were you just?
I did. I played basketball, baseball. I played track my freshman year.
Oh boy.
So that was instead of baseball. I played
athlete.
football, basketball, track my freshman year, and then baseball the last 3. I was very slow growing up, and I tried to get a little faster, and it didn't go too well.
So if you were to play collegiately at a different sport, basically, what's your second best sport you're best at? Is it baseball? Is it basketball?
I liked basketball the second best, and I was probably better growing up at basketball, but I think in high school I might end up being better at baseball. I probably could have played some type of lower level baseball somewhere if I wanted to, maybe basketball, but I wasn't anything special at any of those.
Gotcha. Football's the true love, I guess.
Yeah, football is the sport.
You and any of your boys going to Young Gravy this week?
I forgot about that. What? No, I actually don't even know where or when it is.
Dang.
Our coach, Coach Hill, tries to start me homecoming. It's all like, there's stuff going on, and his big thing is like we're completely focused on the game. You're not supposed to be worried about the other stuff. So
As you should.
yeah, I mean it's
So you're telling
right.
me no guys are going to the Young Gravy concert?
I'm not gonna say no guys
There
are.
you
It's
go.
possible.
There you go.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly don't know when it is. Is it after the game?
No, it's on Wednesday. So you got a couple days.
Oh.
You got a couple days.
Yeah, no, I probably won't if it's on a Wednesday.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no.
Alrighty, so take me through your last game against Missouri State. You guys, honestly, I mean, I went to that game. I covered the game last year. You guys lost pretty bad to them. It kind of sucked for a team that was really looking to get a really high seed in the playoffs, and they come to our house and really beat it up on us. Then you guys do it this year. Give me some thoughts on yesterday's game.
I think that was one thing going in. We remembered how it felt the last 2 years. They got us 2 years ago too, with us. I think we were at 5-3 going into that game. So it was kind of a game where we thought we were either we win this game, we go into the playoffs, we lose, we don't, and we ended up getting in anyway. But I mean, the last 2 years they've had our number, and I think that's kind of something we talked about all week. Kind of just remembering how that felt after those last two games, knowing that they've got us the last 2 years. So we went in there with that on our mind, and I think it was, obviously it came out pretty successful at the end this year.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to get the best of them, but that was just something that we thought about all week, and we definitely had that bad taste in our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, this is your fourth year at SIU, but you're technically a sophomore in playing days, right? Is that correct?
Yep, correct.
So
Yep.
obviously on this roster, you look up and down. It's the fourth, fifth, some 6-year guys too
Mm-hmm.
on this roster. Have you had to take more of a leadership role this year, or are there enough fifth and sixth year guys on the roster where you're still like, yeah, I kind of feel like an underclassman sometimes?
Yeah, no, I think it is kind of weird because there's older guys than me, and usually in the fourth year you'd be kind of the older on the team. But I think I've tried to step into a leadership role this year. I've been here for 4 years. We got a lot of guys who are 5th and 6th years but have transferred in. So I think just being here that long and having 2 years where I've got to play and step on the field, I've tried to kind of grow into a leadership role because last year we had a lot of those guys who came back for their 6th year. So that just wasn't my role. I didn't need to be a leader. We had guys who had been here for years who'd been a leader. So I think this year, with a lot of them leaving, I think that it has been pretty important for me to kind of step into a leadership role this year.
So we talk about you being in a leadership role. It looks like that's going on right now on the field. As we just talked about, that was your second interception. Your first one came against Northwestern. We were actually talking before the cameras were rolling about.
Yeah.
You had another one against Northwestern that got called back.
Yeah.
One of the biggest reasons for our success this year, from what I've watched, has been your guys' ability to take the ball out of the other team's hands. That means specifically with you and with players like Barola, who I know has a couple interceptions and turnovers. Is that, do you think, more reliant on your guys' talent on the defensive side? Or do you think that the game plan has allowed for that to happen with you guys? Or maybe do you think it's obviously just a mix of both, between you two players?
I think it is a mix of both. Those are the big games. This is the games that we're able to get turnovers in, and that's when kind of we play our best. But obviously, like some of the interceptions are calls that kind of where our drops are ends up dropping us into spots where we can make plays, and some of the strip sacks. I know PJ had a strip sack. Richie had a strip in the Northwestern game as well. And some of those are just kind of effort plays where guys are just going and getting the ball out. But a lot of those, a lot of the plays are kind of dropping a good call where our call is just better than the offensive call, and we drop into a zone that he's looking at, and he kind of gives it to us. But, it's kind of a combination of both. Obviously, you have to make the play when you're in position, but it's also on the coaches putting us in the position to make those plays.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that pick last week, specifically, kind of break it down for us. Is that something where before the play even happened, you knew, okay, I'm going to have a chance to maybe make a huge play here? Or is that something that just kind of happened spontaneously? Or is that something you're always thinking about?
Well, we got that look in practice all week, and it was the two back, the back to the field was wide, and it was a look where he was either lead blocking for the running back to the boundary, just kind of running outside zone or outside sweep type thing. Or it was the running back at the shoot, the one in the field, and that's the guy I was supposed to take. So I kind of we watched the film. I kind of bit on the run. Honestly, he got a step on me, and I almost fell, lost balance, and then I got back up, and it was a bit of an underthrow. Honestly, I kind of got a little lucky, so I ended up getting the pick. But it could have been played better. Honestly, he probably doesn't even look at the guy if I play it the way I should have. Just played on, actually covered him. But he kind of got a step on me, and then it's underthrown, and I was able to undercut it. But yeah, no, there's something that we got to look all week where I knew there was 2 plays, and I guessed the wrong one at first, and then was able to get back to it.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So you're somebody who kind of came onto my scene for the team last year. It was in one of the important games. I wish I could remember which one it was, but the announcers kept on talking about you because you had gotten an interception. Like, we keep on talking to you about these interceptions. You used to be a wide receiver. Do you think that you using to be a wide receiver is part of the reason why you have such a ball hawk type game and why you can create these turnovers for us?
I think it definitely does help because playing receiver, like, as far as getting my drops, I can get a feel for, like, I know the concepts we ran and, like, just most of the concepts, kind of just getting a feel for, like, I see one route and I feel like I've got a better feeling for where guys are going to be based on the route I can see in front of me or based on what the quarterback's reading. I feel like I kind of just, offense has kind of helped me just get like an understanding of the concepts going on around me. And I think that's helped me get a couple of the picks, and then obviously the hands part of it. Catching balls my whole life, playing receiver, that definitely helps as well.
So you're in a pretty unique spot. Typically, wide receivers don't become linebackers. It's typically wide receiver, DB, or maybe running back, linebacker. So what prompted this in the first place? Was it maybe they saw that your body type fit more of a linebacker? What was it? And do you think it's been pretty nice so far? I mean, obviously it's not something. It's something you've had to transition to, which there's always some growing pains. But just what are your thoughts on what prompted it, and do you think it's gone so well so far?
I think it was the body type. It was I was kind of a bigger receiver. I came in at like 6'3", 205, 210, somewhere around there. And my 40 time wasn't very fast. It was on the slower end. So like it was kind of like, I mean, it was.
So what you're telling us is you couldn't beat Avante and Deontay in a 40 race.
Oh, I tell them I can't now, which I can't. But
you got a shot.
I like to talk a bit to him because Avante's one of my best friends, Deontay too. And but no, I got him in a couple races this summer. Actually.
There you go.
I got a little faster since moving to linebacker, which is crazy. But so yeah, no, I think the whole thing was the body type, like kind of just like a thicker built receiver, and we had a lot of receivers too. That was back when Landon, Jerron, Avante, Deontay was coming back. So like we had a lot of guys who it was going to be competing for a spot, and they felt like they needed a little more depth at linebacker too. And like we were talking about earlier, I played linebacker in high school, and I got recruited there by most schools. That was actually what I got recruited at. So they knew I could play linebacker, and like knew that was a possibility. I think even coming in. So that ended up prompting it, and now I've put on a little more weight and kind of got more of the linebacker body. But they could see that my body kind of fit as well at the linebacker position, probably better than it did at receiver.
Gotcha. So you're talking about last week. Let's look ahead to this week. You guys had a rough start to the season. You fall down to 0-2, but now you guys are killing it. You guys are 4-2. You guys are sitting much more comfortably, not only within just your record, but within the conference. Is it hard for you guys to stay humble right now? Like, how do you guys are going about that? I know because I've talked to you guys throughout the years, and Nick Hill always preaches staying humble.
Yep.
But it's easier said than done.
It is. I think that's something that got us last year. Last year we were off to the hot start. We were 6-1, and then kind of fell apart at the end of the year. And I think that's kind of what it is. You got to get complacent once you start winning a few in a row. But I mean, I think the 0-2 start is probably enough for us to kind of keep it going this year, because I mean, we were on the back end with all you see on social media is talking badly about Southern Illinois and blah blah blah. But no, I think it's gonna be a little easier to kind of keep it going this year because of the first two losses. I think it's gonna be hard to get complacent when we had that feeling the first two games of being 0-2 kind of counted out. But no, that's something that being humble. That's Coach Hill's talked about it. That's kind of been his message the last 2 weeks. It's just be humble. The more you win, the humbler you get. It's kind of the quote that he's been giving out. And I think that's big because obviously getting complacent, you start winning games, you get complacent, that's how you start finding yourself in the stacking up losses like we did last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like the key to the success over these last 4 weeks or so has been because of one specific change the team made, or do you think it's been systemic? Like something changed, like either right before the Northwestern game or halftime of the Northwestern game? What was the moment that you felt, okay, something's different here, and maybe you don't even know what it is, but something just completely flipped the season around?
I think the big thing was, like, we've had a lot of transfers this year. We had a lot of guys who came in, a lot of guys who hadn't played together, and I mean, like, it kind of sounds cliche to say, but like we hadn't played together, and like kind of took a little time for us to, mold the team together. And I mean, there was kind of the growing pains of us like putting it all together the first game, and obviously that showed. And then the second game, it got a little better. But I think Northwestern, just the whole feel of everything, how it was on the sideline, just how we were playing together, you could kind of feel it started to click there. And like even going into halftime, that was a game where like a lot of times you'll see FCS teams go up to FBS schools and they'll be close at halftime, and it's just, oh, okay, they'll come out at half and put them away. But like that just wasn't the feeling when we went in at halftime of that Northwestern game. And I think that was kind of the big turnaround after kind of going back out in the second half and showing that we were the better team. That's when kind of we knew that we had put it together and that we were ready to kind of get it rolling rather than what we had done the first 2 weeks.
Well, it's definitely good to have it rolling because we've got homecoming this week, and we definitely want to see a win on the home turf and all that stuff. Give me some thoughts on Western Illinois, what you've seen from them, and what can we expect from you guys on the defensive end of that game?
Yeah, no, they've kind of moved a couple guys around at quarterback. We haven't looked too much into them yet. That's kind of what we start getting into today at practice and meetings later in the day. But I mean, that's something you can't get into looking at records because, I mean, the Missouri Valley's a tough conference. You see it every year. I think they were 1-something last year, and I mean, they played us to overtime. So like those are games. I mean, they're going to be a good opponent. If you put them in a lot of other conferences, their record could be completely flipped, and that's just kind of how it is. You have to go into that thought with every Missouri Valley Conference opponent, and I mean that's how we're going to go into this week, knowing that it's still going to be a good team out there and that we got to come and compete.
Absolutely. Last year's game, I hate to break it up, but last year's game against them was one of the head scratchers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially from like a fan standpoint myself. What's something that you guys are going to do this year that is going to keep that from happening again? Because you guys probably do have the talent advantage, but at the end of the day, that can only take you so far. So what's going to be the secret this year?
I think last year we were on the little winning streak when we were playing them, and I think we got a little complacent, and that's kind of how it started. That's how it got rolling, and then we started losing a couple games. But like I said, I think after the 2 losses at the beginning of the season, there's not going to be any complacency out of us. I think we're going in knowing what happened last year and knowing that it's a close game, and that's how it's going to be. So, I mean, I think we're going to come out here well prepared, knowing that it's a good opponent and try to get a win.
Now, real quick, didn't No Tree get a targeting call at the end of that game? Like, or not the end of the game, but to begin the game. So we were missing No Tree.
That was you and I.
That was you and I. That's right.
He got
I got the purple and
targeting.
Yeah, I got it mixed up.
Yep.
Anyways, so describe the atmosphere. You've obviously been here for 4 years. When you run out onto the home field and it's the homecoming game. You know, I brought my friends last year for homecoming games. I know a lot of other people bring their parents and other friends. You know, so last year it was packed. I mean, it's always packed at Saluki Stadium, but this time it was filled. What's it like running out on the field? You feel high from that? You feel like adrenaline? Like, are you hoping you get defense first so that you can go out and hit some people?
No, I definitely do. I always want defense first. That's just nice to just be able to get out there and kind of get rolling from the beginning, not having to sit around. But homecoming's awesome. It's the more people you have in the stadium, just the more energy there is, and you know that kind of just gets you rolling. It's a lot easier to play in front of like a packed stadium, regardless of it home and away. But it's all obviously great having it be your own fans. So you know it's awesome being able to run out there in front of a packed stadium and kind of just have the energy going from around you before the game even starts, and it just makes it easier to play and like knowing you have support out there.
Gotcha.
Now, this is one thing that the fans at home may not know, and I just know this because I'm from the area, but the 2 quarterbacks this weekend, Clay Bruno of Western Illinois and Nick Baker of Southern Illinois, are from the same town, Rochester, Illinois. I played against them in high school, so that's how I know him. Have you guys asked Nick at all, hey, like, you know, what does this guy do? Like, how does he try to do things? How does he help you guys get a little bit of advantage? And I'm sure he's doing the same thing on the other side, maybe with some other guys that know the similarity there. Has there been any talk about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't talked to him, but I mean, obviously that's going to be something where, hey, Bake, like, what's he do? But I mean, I don't know. I think you'll see most of it from film, just what he can do. But obviously we'll ask Baker around. Vontae and Deontay were also at Rochester.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we'll ask him, see what he thinks. But, I mean, he's obviously gotten to college. He's been able to kind of progress his game. So, I think it's more important to probably look at this year than it is to try to think about what he did in high school, too.
Absolutely. Kind of looking deeper into that in terms of preparation. you've obviously been here for 4 years. You've seen what it's like every week. Do you think homecoming has an extra level of, maybe not pressure, but, does Coach Hill really get on you guys in practice more? Does it seem like that's something? Like, what's the difference in preparation against, a week 7 game against, no offense, like Youngstown State or something like that, versus this homecoming game that you feel is of the utmost importance?
I think ideally you try to have no difference in preparation, but I mean obviously that's a little harder or easier said than done. We try to limit the distractions of homecoming, but I mean obviously this is a game that you're having people come in, ex-players coming in to come to a game. This might be their only game they come to this season. So I mean that's something where this is one that we want to get, and I mean it's one that obviously you want to get all of them, but this is one that like you want to try to get a win to have some of those guys who've come back see you put on your best performance. But ideally we don't change anything throughout the week. It's kind of prepare like it's just any other game and go out there and play and try to get a win.
Gotcha. Who's winning this weekend?
It's gonna be us.
There you go. Right answer. Alrighty. That does it for all of our questions for you, Branson. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah,
really
no problem.
Appreciate it. Once again, this is Branson Combs, star linebacker for the Southern Illinois Salukis. Be sure to come to the homecoming game this Saturday and check us out and root them on. So, thanks again.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Here we are with I Told You So, and I think it's important to point out the percentages that we're sitting at right now. I'm currently sitting at roughly 62% with going 16 and 10. I don't know if you print out the percentage of yours, but what's your record so far here?
I made my own stat for it called the CPP, the correct pick percentage.
Oh, I like that better.
And I'm rolling at 70% on the year. I'm 14 for 20. So, I have a little bit of a bragging right against you right now.
Right now.
But
We'll see. After this week. So last week I got these guys correct. It's no biggie or anything. Just blowing out our rivals 49-0. I mean, whatever. Quinn Ewers might run away with the Heisman if he had a full season. But what are we talking about? Anyways, unfortunately I picked Arkansas. They lost to Mississippi State. Yeah, BYU losing to Notre Dame, Utah losing to UCLA, but I did get TCU over Kansas, but exactly. If I had gotten some of those correct this week, I probably would have been ahead of you, but unfortunately I was not. Let's get to the games this week. This one's kind of sneaky. Kansas is a really big underdog against Oklahoma, and I'm very surprised by that. Maybe if Dylan Gabriel's back, then I think that Oklahoma could probably get the job done, but Kansas is still a good team. I'm not sure if Oklahoma is.
Yeah, looking at the point spread, it's about a touchdown right now, favorite in Oklahoma's favor. This game has my brain in a pretzel. Personally, I have no idea who I'm going to pick. I'm not going to make my own pick right now. College stats, I'll throw a stat out. They went 1-3-1 last week. One of the losses was the Arkansas one. KJ Jefferson didn't play. They probably still would have lost, but they may have covered the spread, like I said. This one is dealing with Lance Leipold once again. He is 18-12 against the spread after a loss, and I saw over his career at Buffalo before Kansas, as his teams got better, this stat gets better. So again, 18-12 against the spread. It's probably a little bit better than that if you throw some numbers in there and turn some things around. So
that's my guy, Lance Leipold. I love him.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas was able to stay in the game whenever they faced TCU, and then Oklahoma, when they played TCU, they weren't even
close. That's a good argument. That's a good
touchdown. So that's why I would probably pick Kansas.
I know. You know what? I'm going to go with my heart on this one. Rock chalk, baby, as my roommates say.
Jayhawk.
Rock chalk. Let's go with Kansas. Let's go ahead and do that. On to the next game. This one I love. Love this one.
I love this game too.
Number 10, Penn State, at number 4, Michigan. Now, if this was at Beaver, I'd fully dive in. I'm making a game. A lot of these games are so good this week. I'm making game time picks for you guys. I haven't really planned it all out. This one, I'm going to go with Michigan. Only because it's not at Beaver. If it was at Beaver, I go with it. I like the upset potential here. You can fully take advantage of that. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. I've already been wrong before by going with my heart, but I'm going to go with Michigan because I just think McCarthy, they're going to unlock a little bit of him. Blake Corum plays good. They got a solid enough defense. I don't trust Sean Clifford entirely, so I'm going to go with Michigan. What are the stats tell me?
I love Penn State in the game as an Ohio State fan. Disregard this shirt for a second. But unfortunately, the stat does not back me up in the Penn State sector. James Franklin, Penn State head coach, has only won 2 games outright as a road underdog in his career in Penn State. He's 2-10. And you think about that, it's not like when he is a road underdog, it's not like the spreads are huge. It's not like he's a 30-point underdog or 20-point underdog.
Penn State we're
These are
about.
close games, close point spreads, and he's still not coming away with a win. So I hope this reverses this weekend. But yeah, 2-10 in his career at Penn State.
And I would say Michigan's quality of wins seems to be a little bit better than Penn State's, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's why I would
Real
probably
neck and
Michigan.
neck, yeah,
Really,
exactly.
really close, but I'd probably choose Michigan over in terms of quality of wins. But yeah, I'm going Michigan.
Yeah. Now, important to mention before we get on to the next game is that Penn State, for the future, I might buy their stock over Michigan. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but
I
they're
would too.
bringing a lot of really good recruiting classes. They got Drew Alar on the bench behind Sean Clifford. I actually like to see him a little bit more on the field.
Definitely.
They got Nick Singleton, that freshman. He's a baller.
He's got 2 more years left.
Yeah,
at least.
they got a good they always have a really good defense. Watch out on this one. This one, we all picked Michigan, but I don't know. We'll be sure. Next game, this one's really interesting. This one proves if you're a casual or not. If you're going to be tuning into this, then you're a fan. If you don't, you're a casual, for sure.
Yes.
Number 15, NC State versus number 18, Syracuse. Syracuse is good, and NC State's good. Now, NC State's trending down, which I was a big NC State guy before the year. I'm not that much anymore. But Syracuse trending up. They got that offensive coordinator from Virginia who has really unlocked Garrett Schrader like they did with Brennan Armstrong. Sean Tucker's obviously one of the best backs in the nation, probably top 10 back. And they just have a lot of pieces. They had a really fun Purdue game earlier in the year. And they've got it rolling right now. It's going to be at the Dome in Syracuse. Give me Syracuse.
Stat backs you up on this one,
There you
actually. And NC State showed this a couple of weeks ago at Clemson. Dave Doran, NC State head coach in his career at the Wolfpack University, is 9-15 against the spread as a road underdog. So, based on the stat, Syracuse is about a 3 or 4 point favorite, which kind of surprised me, honestly.
Yes. Yeah,
So
with
the
a team
fact-
like NC State, they're
so-
still good.
And I think NC State's still good too, but the fact that Syracuse is favored makes me feel even more confident about this stat.
Yeah, this will be the first, the highest ranked football matchup in Syracuse since 1998. So that should be,
Not honestly surprised by
that place
but yeah.
should be rocking right now, or
Mhm.
this week I should say. I just think that momentum that Syracuse has been making these past couple weeks is going to continue into this week at home
Mhm.
against a really good NC State team.
Yeah, NC State's really good. They got that really good defense. The only problem is Devin Leary hasn't been putting it up like I'd want him to. The running backs, just I don't know whether it's the line. I don't know what it is. Didn't they have some offensive lineman highly drafted last year? Why can't I think of his name?
Ike Makwanu?
Yes, there you
Something
go.
like that.
Yeah.
I probably
He's
butchered that
on
name.
the
I'm
Jets
sorry
now,
if he's
so
watching.
it seems like maybe they're missing him with their running game. I don't know. Another awesome game. Like I said, this is a great weekend for college football. If there's a weekend to tune into college football, this is it. I'm telling you right now. We got number 8 OSU at number 13 TCU. I'm loving TCU right now. Sonny Dykes has got the Horned Frogs rolling. Max Duggan is weirdly like 6th in the Heisman rankings. I don't know if you guys watched last week, but that catch that Quentin Johnston
Yes.
had in the back of the end zone to put them up over Kansas was really, really good. Their offense is unstoppable right now. Unstoppable. OSU is definitely good, and they're sitting at number 8 right now. But I don't know how much I love it. I think that this OSU team is vulnerable. They're missing Jim Knowles, who went and took the defensive coordinator job at Ohio State. You're Ohio State.
Just the Ohio State.
And and I just think doesn't the spread and the money line favor me in this one? TCU is the favorite, right?
TCU is the favorite,
TCU is
yes.
the favorite. I'm rocking with TCU. It's not far, I don't think, but
Yeah.
still I like TCU in this game. TCU is very, very good.
It's going to be a great one. The Big 12 is going to have great games all the rest of the season. I would feel better about picking TCU in this one because if Oklahoma State wins, you just tip your cap. I mean, that just means they're a really good team. Now, this stat here is a pro-Oklahoma State one, but TCU can win and this still be true. Since 2005, Mike Gundy, coach of Oklahoma State, that's the year he got there, so he's been there for a very long time.
He's been there forever.
Tops of the Big 12 against the spread versus ranked teams, 34, 23, and 1. And I think when I looked this up, it was 3.5. The spread was 3.5. So TCU can win by a field goal, and he still cover this, and the stat still be true. So the stat says Oklahoma State will cover the spread, but that doesn't mean TCU is not going to win the game. And I would pick
Exactly.
TCU to win the game too.
Yeah, I think TCU really has the tools to put it all together. And as a Texas fan, it does make me a little
Yes.
bit nervous.
Yeah, you mentioned OSU being kind of vulnerable, a little bit ago. They seem to not really have answers for third and longs, I should say, on defense this year, and I think TCU has been at least a little bit better for just closing out those on third downs. So I would just pick TCU. This will be a shootout either way, but I just think TCU's defense has a little bit more of an ability to close out on third downs.
I think that's a really good way of putting it, is this will definitely be a shootout. I don't see a way in which it's not. I think that the defenses are very good. And we saw that Kansas and TCU game kind of stutter for a little bit, but then they ended up putting up it was 38-31 at the end of the game. So I like what you're saying. I think TCU is the way to go. Game day pick. Number 3 Bama at number 6 Tennessee. This is another live pick right here, folks. I want to say, if you're thinking about it, go with Bama. That's what the rule always says. That's probably whatever stat you're going to show me will back it up. That also being said, I know the stats say that Bama is not nearly as good on the road as they are at home.
Nope.
And Rocky Top is going to be bouncing this weekend. If you don't think that it is going to be one of the toughest atmospheres to play in the entire country, it might be the toughest atmosphere to play, in all honesty. I think there's a real chance Tennessee wins this one. And because I want that so bad, I'm going to pick it. I'm going with my heart on this pick. I have to make a heart pick on this one. I want Bama to go down. I want a different fourth team in the playoff. If Bryce Young is back, he might not even be fully healthy. Hendon Hooker.
No, he won't.
I mean, unless Bama does what they usually do whenever they're down in a close game, cough, 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 for our video listeners. Texas right here, and you have to injure Hendon Hooker, then I think Tennessee has a real shot in this one. They've kept that close with Haynes King and Hudson Card. You're talking about a guy like Hendon Hooker, who's top 5 in the country at his position, top 5 in Heisman rankings.
No, definitely he is.
I hope that they get it done. I'm not sure if they do. I'm going to make it very clear, but I'm going with my heart on this one.
That clip, Nick Saban's going to take that. He's going to show that in the locker room before the game on Saturday.
Get rid of the rat poison.
I just know a little bit of rat poison. Alabama obviously has owned this rivalry. The last 14 years, they've won 14 games in a row against Tennessee. Road, home, doesn't matter. But I did find a positive Tennessee stat, and it is applicable in this game.
There we go.
They are 5-4-1 just overall against Alabama when both teams are ranked in the top 10. So they do have a slight advantage in that department. So if there is a chance for Tennessee to win this game for the first time in, technically 16 years, but first time in 14 games, this is the spot. This is the spot when both teams are ranked to the top 10.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, Alabama has almost lost to the only ranked opponent that they played this year, Texas. That was a really close game. And then Arkansas, that first half was a little bit rocky. I know it was a strong finish for them, obviously, but they didn't necessarily have the best game against Texas A&M last week either.
No, they didn't.
So that makes me...
They looked very vulnerable.
I'm going to go with Tennessee with you, to be honest, but I'm very scared. I'm very scared to go with Tennessee, though.
That's the thing, is that we will say this. People are going to jump on it, and they will lose. But I'm still rocking the Vols. I'm still rocking the Rocky Top.
Keep the confidence.
Honestly, if it's Jalen Milroe, sorry, not Monroe, Milroe, there's a real shot here for
absolutely.
the Vols.
No, there is.
He's proven that he doesn't exactly know how to take care of the ball. He seems a little bit vulnerable, which honestly makes me happy for the future of Alabama. Like, what, you're going to roll Milroe out there and get to the playoff next year? I don't know if that's possible. It's weird because we started having these discussions about parity in college football before the year once the 12-team playoff was announced and how that'll help the parity. And this year, it looks pretty paritable to me. If we had this is the year we need the 12-team playoff.
Oh, absolutely.
If they implicated this now, I don't know if Bama makes it to the championship. I don't know if Georgia makes it to the championship.
Probably not.
Granted, by the end of the year, these teams will probably look
Maybe
unbeatable and we'll all be idiots. But another one to talk about, just real quick, I don't know if there just needs to be much talked about. Number 16, Mississippi State, the team that's played nobody. I'm avid. I do not believe in Mississippi State. I'd take Texas over Mississippi State any day of the week.
Yeah, I would too.
At number 22, Kentucky, I think if Levis comes back and is healthy, the only reason Kentucky's ranked number 22 is because Levis had to sit out last game, and they happened to lose to an underdog on the road, South Carolina. I think Kentucky wins this one. I don't think there's much discussion. That's if Levis is back. If Levis isn't back, then the Bulldogs are probably, 6-1, 7-1, which is just ridiculous. They haven't played anybody.
Yeah, that is crazy. They have destroyed the last two teams they played, though, in A&M and Arkansas. I feel the same way as you do. If Will Levis plays, I think Kentucky probably wins the game, honestly. Because this is a little bit different since their ranking's now 22. I think the point spread's like a touchdown for Mississippi State. That seems wild to me.
I know.
They should have won that Ole Miss game earlier, too. Kentucky should have. So
Yeah.
I like Kentucky if Will Levis plays. But regardless if he plays, this is a anti-Kentucky stat. Since the beginning of the 2013 season, when Kentucky head coach Mark Stoops took over, they were only 9-14 against the spread as a home underdog, and which is interesting because on the road as an underdog, they're actually 19-18 against the spread. They're actually better as road underdogs than home underdogs, which goes against simple logic. So that's one thing that's making me hesitate a little bit, especially if Will Levis doesn't play. Then I'd hammer Mississippi State.
Yeah, you took the stat right out of my mouth earlier about scoring 40 plus against both a good Arkansas and a good Texas A&M team for Mississippi State, but they're kind of streaky sometimes. It makes me wonder what that LSU game was earlier in the year when they lost to them. I don't really understand what happened there, I guess, but I'm going Mississippi State on this one.
It's going to be funny if I consistently pick the wrong ones against. Whenever Arkansas plays, I always pick that one wrong, and then whenever Mississippi State plays, it seems like I get that one wrong. But this is the week of change. Final game, really important game. That's why I feel like we need to talk about it. Number 7 USC at number 20 Utah. This is, aside from UCLA, the one substantial opponent that USC is going to play. And if Lincoln Riley can miraculously take his team over the top, we talked about the potential of if a Bama loses, and then loses in, say, a conference championship game, then that's 2-loss SEC team. I kick that one out. If USC wins this one and somehow wins UCLA and then somehow goes all the way to the Pac-12 championship, there's a lot of ifs, but I'm saying that we're going to need to see something from Caleb Williams in this game. I'm going to talk about the Heisman Trophy odds next. Caleb's still up there, but he hasn't, in my opinion, he's got to have that story game. You got to have the narrative. That's what the Heisman's about. You got to get the narrative. That's how you could beat the C.J. Stroud, is if you go, well, we've beaten a good Washington State team. Because in all honesty, the Big Ten looks weak this year. And C.J. Stroud will probably win this really good game against Michigan and a really good one against Penn State. So it's going to look really, really good. But if C.J. Stroud does happen to falter in one of those games like he did against Oregon last year, it's going to hurt his chances. He clearly has one of the best offenses, and I think that's important that we factor that in. I'm walking myself in circles. All I'm saying is Caleb Williams is going to need to dominate this game. Unfortunately, I don't think he does. I'm going with Utah at home. Mr. Consistent. They screwed me over last week.
Yeah, I said that last week. But I was with you on that one, and I'm going to do another pro-Utah one here. Last year, we really saw Utah's home field advance take center stage in that blowout against Oregon. They also blew them out again in the Pac-12 championship game as well. And since they joined the Pac-12 in 2011, they lead every single team in that conference in 2 categories against the spread. Against ranked teams and as the home team. Well, is USC ranked? Are they playing at home this week? No, it's Utah playing at home.
Yes. Utah's playing at home then.
Both of those are applicable here. When you see both of those come together in one game, that's a good sign.
It is.
I'll ride with you in Utah as well.
It is. And USC doesn't, they struggle against the run. That's Utah's strong suit. But they also have Cam Rising who can bring them out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, USC only scored 17 against probably their best opponent, which was Oregon State.
On the road.
So that makes me
a little worrisome,
worrisome, even though it is a Lincoln Riley-led team, which I love. I love me some Lincoln Riley, but Utah has scored 34 plus in each week since the week 1 dud against Florida. I don't know what happened in that game, but I would begrudgingly pick Utah in this one, even though USC does scare me a little bit with Caleb Williams. I think it'll be his Heisman. I shouldn't say his Heisman to lose, but he'll be pretty high up there with C.J. Stroud after this game if he plays well.
And there's one other thing to mention, of course, with that. We talk about USC. They're very highly ranked right now. They kind of went from worst to first, kind of like SIU women's soccer, you could say, this year.
And volleyball.
Yep, and volleyball. And, yeah. But they kind of...
Moving on to the NFL, pro sports. Last week I went 4 for 5, like I said earlier. The only team, of course, that let me down were my Packers in London. That might be one of the worst losses in the Matt LaFleur era that I've ever seen. I'm visibly upset about that.
You gotta figure that out, buddy.
I don't know.
You gotta talk
what's
to your boy
going
Matt.
on.
You gotta talk to your boy Matt.
And I have a bone to pick with Aaron right now, Aaron Rodgers, but
I got a bone to pick with
That's-
Aaron Jones. He keeps on putting up stinkers for my fantasy team,
Well,
so I'm losing.
I think you should talk to Matt LaFleur about that because we are not utilizing Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon like I would love to. It's always passing on a down that we don't need to. When it's 4th and 2 and 3rd and 2, why in the world are we passing it? A.J. Dillon can easily get 2 yards just by laying down, but that's just me. That's just my thinking. Anyways,
Yeah.
I am upset about that.
Two different sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, like I said, probably the most disappointing and annoying loss in the Matt LaFleur era, but they have never lost back-to-back games also in the Matt LaFleur era. So I am definitely going to take the Packers in this one. These are two teams that are trending in the opposite direction. The Jets scored 40 points last week.
Zach Wilson.
I've never seen that before in the Jets in a long time. So that makes me impressed with the Jets. Zach Wilson, he posted his highest passer rating ever in his career last week. And it still didn't hit 100, which is interesting to me. But anyways, they scored 40 points. That was great. They had a huge rushing attack last week, 4 rushing touchdowns. They did just enough to score 40, I guess. And but it's definitely concerning against a run defense for Green Bay. They just can't seem to stop any running back right now, no matter who it is. If it's a Saquon or if it's somebody on New England, I can't even remember the running back's name for New England right now, to be honest. That makes me concerned about it, but I'm going to go with Green Bay in this one, 26-19.
Stat backs you up. Never lost back-to-back games against Matt LaFleur, and we'll go all the way back to 2008 with this stat. Since Aaron Rodgers became the quarterback, the Packers are 49-27-1 after a loss. So, stat backs you up. I'll back you up. I think the Jets, that 40 points was fool's gold. Their defense got a lot of turnovers, got a safety at the beginning of the game, kind of a short field, had a defensive touchdown. I believe so. If not, they brought it down to like 3 or 4 yard line. So, yeah, I think the Packers are going to win this one big. I think they're going to make life for Zach Wilson very, very hard.
Go Pack, go. I don't see a way.
Go
I
Pack,
wish.
go.
Go Pack, go.
I've never seen that.
But I kind of like this Jets team. I'm not gonna lie. You got a lot of young talent. Their GM
No, they do.
drafts extremely well. I thought that
Robert
last year,
Saleh.
and I thought that the year before.
They might end up being.
Robert Saleh's a little. I don't know about Robert
You
Saleh.
don't
but
like Robert
What?
Saleh?
I like him, but I don't know if he's kind of like a Dan Campbell. You like him, but
Interesting.
are we sure that he's gonna be a coach for that long?
Well, if the Jets keep winning, yeah.
That's true.
I mean,
It's in at 3-2. That's
3-2. I mean,
that's a lot of optimism.
They came back against the Browns when everything seemed to not go their way in that game, and then won that game with Joe Flacco too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how that game goes. I guess I hope Green Bay can bounce back after probably the worst loss I've seen in a long
You
time.
struggled against New York teams so far, buddy. So I don't know.
That's true.
But that was in London. Hopefully in Green Bay it'll be a different story. Anyways,
It's like they've
Moving
never
on.
choked a game in Green Bay. Last year in the semifinals.
Every year in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's crazy. Anyways, tell us about Bengals Saints. What happened?
Bengals, Saints. This will be in the Superdome. Both teams 2-3. I like AFC and NFC matchups, so I just wanted to talk about this one, I guess.
Yes.
Bengals are kind of underperforming this year, which is interesting. Super Bowl hangover, possibly. I don't know. Your boy Joe Shiesty. I don't know what's going on with.
Here's the case for my boy Joe Shiesty. First 2 games, they have a new offensive line where, as good as they've improved, they're still new, you know? And then you play against TJ Watt and Micah Parsons, probably 2 of the best defensive players in the entire league. And then you go up against a very tough Ravens team this last week. They haven't had an easy go of it, but granted, I think they should have come out in that Pittsburgh game. Well, from what we've seen from Pittsburgh right now, and I know they're missing TJ Watt right now, so that makes them look even worse, but they are the worst team in the league. I'm calling that right now. I
By
think
far.
Kenny Pickett is fine. I'm not going to make my Kenny Pickett pick yet. We've seen him for 2 weeks. But I know for a fact Mitch Trubisky's awful. I know that everything about that team. I love it. Anyways, let's get back to Bengals.
I think Jordan knows that Mitch Trubisky's awful too.
I know that he's not a great quarterback in the NFL.
But I want to give some love to Taysom Hill. He had 4 total touchdowns in this last game. That was insane for a
This
fantasy
guy.
performance, and yet I don't know if in the 2 leagues that I was in, he was even rostered, to be honest. So that was That was a waste, which is sad to
Very
see.
fun, yeah.
And he's used like literally everywhere. I think he had like 68 return yards after like only 3 returns. He can just do it all, which is crazy. Everyone knows that though. But the defense for New Orleans, they're ranked 26th in points allowed, and I believe they're also bottom half in the league in rush yards per game. So I would probably say Joe Mixon's probably gonna have a nice afternoon. I'm gonna go Bengals 31, Saints 28 in this one. Just Joe Burrow. I think he'll push them over the edge.
I agree. Totally agree.
Since Joe Burrow became a starter at the beginning of the 2020 season, the Bengals are 13-6 against the spread after a loss too, and I think they'll be favored in this game. Saints are really banged up, especially on the offensive end with their receivers. Michael Thomas seems like he's just back into that phase where he just doesn't play. Chris Olave, another OSU guy, is out as well. And again, the defense, the one part of the Saints we thought was going to be surefire good, struggling. So I think the Bengals are the play here.
Yep.
My next game of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think who
It's tough because we got 2 really good games, but yeah, I think this one's probably.
whoever wins this game, I think probably not because of this game, but might end up winning the Super Bowl. But Bills versus Chiefs, 4-1 versus 4-1 in Kansas City. The Chiefs won last night, but it was a very, very close game. They came back from a 17-point deficit. They seem to do that almost every week.
Yep.
They can just do that whenever they want, it seems like, which is just crazy to me. Rematch of that divisional playoff game, which is just crazy. Probably an AFC Championship preview, like I said. 2 hot offenses versus 2 crazy impressive defenses. I just want to see how the Bills defense responds to Mahomes and the Chiefs and Kelsey, all their offensive weapons that they got over there. Can the pass rush get past that O-line of the Chiefs?
Very good.
Can that pass rush get to the Chiefs' offensive line like I think that they can? Force a few picks. Can the Chiefs' offensive line even limit them at all? But you know the Bills' offense is going to do their part win this game, force that shootout. Chiefs' defense, they're 27th in pass yards per game, and they're not much higher in points per game either. So I'm going to pick the Bills in this one, but I'm very, very scared of Mahomes. You can just do whatever he wants, like I said earlier.
You're not wrong on that, but the stat will back you up in this one. Buffalo is 9-6-1 against the spread as a road favorite since Josh Allen took over as the quarterback. The only time they've won basically against the Chiefs since Josh Allen has been the quarterback was in Kansas City in the regular season. That's something to point out here. It was the regular season, it wasn't the playoffs. So if the Bills are going to win against the Chiefs, this is the spot.
Well, it looks like against the spread they're going to be 9-7-1 because I'm going with the Chiefs in this one. I think the Bills. We're doing this thing. We're doing it all over again, like we did at the beginning of the year, where we go, Bills are the best. They're the best team in the league. There's nobody that could even touch them. They're the Bills. I don't see that. They're a very good team. Very good team. But Chiefs are very good too. Like you said, put up 17 points like that. Came all the way back. Granted, Chiefs, I don't love what I see. They get cute. I don't like when teams get cute. They get cute in the red zone. They go, oh, we're going to try a fake field goal against the Colts, and it's going to suck. It's going to be the worst fake field goal you've ever seen.
They always do.
They do this cute stuff, but I think that when they play a tough team like the Bills, they're going to eliminate their cuteness. Patrick Mahomes is going to be like, oh, this is the next guy up? Patrick Mahomes is still probably the best QB in the league. I like the Chiefs in this one. But obviously wouldn't be surprised if the Bills come out.
Neither one of these teams have much of a run game at all. I think
Yeah.
the Bills are literally last in the league in rush yards per game, and I think Kansas City's bottom half as well. So
Yeah.
this would just be pure straight, probably 40 pass attempts for each quarterback, I would say.
This will be a fun one.
Pretty fun one. In Kansas City, too.
Yeah, but by the way, shout out to Joey's Lord and Savior, Devontae Adams, for shoving an innocent cameraman last night. Something he probably learned.
He did apologize.
Something
You
he
see
probably
Big Cat's tweet about that?
something he probably learned when he was in Green Bay. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
There's a,
Packers culture.
you mentioned that there was a
Packers
clip of him actually helping out a camera operator that fell down last year, when he was in Green Bay. So I think that black hole just might have changed that.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
But it's kind of tough to be happy when you start 1-4. I should say.
That's also true.
But, another really exciting game, Sunday Night Football, Eagles and Cowboys. It'll be in Philadelphia.
Can you believe we're excited about this?
I cannot.
I can't
10
do
years.
it. I can't do it.
But 5-0 versus 4-1. I can't believe the
Cooper
Cowboys.
Rush versus Jalen Hurts, baby. Let's go.
I can't believe the Cowboys are just this impressive still with Cooper Rush.
I know.
I'm just really excited for this. Big things at stake for both teams. I think there's some storylines that can really hit the web after this game, no matter what team wins. Jalen Hurts, if he ends up playing lights out again in this game, he'll have the Eagles at 6-0, and I think he might be the front runner for MVP after I predicted that before the season started. Just want to bring that up one more time.
I mean, it's
for you.
front runner.
He could. I don't know about front runner, but he's up there. You can't deny that he's up there.
I cannot believe
You can't
that.
deny that he's up there.
I'm saying-
I liked him. I've always liked him.
I'm saying if he has another hot game, because the Cowboys' defense will be the best defense that he'll have played against. I love him.
I think
now.
something that's important to mention, though, is that the Cowboys' D-line is going to be going up against the best D-line that they've played against in the Eagles' offensive line. Eagles' offensive line is really, really good. You tell the stats, and then there's something that I want to bring up after that.
Well, it's like the unstoppable force meets the immovable object in this one. Since Nick Sirianni took over at the beginning of last year, remember the Eagles weren't great last year, but so the fact that this stat still exists is kind of crazy. They were 4-0-1 as a home favorite against the spread, which is crazy to me. Because again, you figure they would have had at least one loss in there, but no, they're 4-1 as a home favorite, so they will be favored in this one at home. But of course, Cooper Rush 5-0 overall, 5-0 against the spread. I did a little math last night. If you were to put $100 on the Cowboys to win the game every single time since Cooper Rush has been the starter, you'd be up over like $7,000 right now. So, just saying. And this is another spot to do it. I mean, I think they're maybe plus 170, maybe 190, maybe. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it's crazy. This will be a fantastic game regardless.
I wonder what the point spread is for this game. I haven't even checked that out.
I don't remember. I think it was maybe 5.5 to Philadelphia, something like that.
That's pretty heavy.
That would make me kind of want to pick the Cowboys. I think it'll be a close one.
I'm not sure.
But I'm going.
Do you think so? Someone's prediction says.
Well,
Eagles
this is
31.
what I wrote last night.
Yeah.
This is what I wrote last night. Now, after kind of sleeping on it, I think it might be a bit closer. I want to probably go Eagles 31, Cowboys 26. But I wrote on here Eagles 31, Cowboys 21. You mentioned Cooper Rush's 5-0 streak is on the line in this one, and I think if the Cowboys manage to win this one, they might have some conversations about is Cooper Rush maybe the starter, just because, I mean, if they want to go with a hot hand, I'm sure. If they're 6-0 with Cooper Rush, why not keep him in the game all the time?
No, yeah.
Even though Dak is pretty impressive.
I agree.
I think those storylines might start if they end up winning this one.
Trade.
Yeah. So something that I think is important to bring up is Brandon Staley, who's now the head coach for the Chargers, and the defensive coordinator. He only let us have like 4 fun years in the NFL, didn't he? Where he started doing the 2 high safety looks that just stops Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen from throwing it downfield. They obviously get 1 or 2 a game, but they were lighting it up for years and years. And this game was the perfect exemplification of we're reverting back to old times. Cooper Rush won last week with like just barely over 100 yards throwing. You know, Cooper Rush is good enough. They just ride Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard and throw to CeeDee Lamb when they need some. The Eagles love to run it with Jalen Hurts, love to run it with Miles Sanders. These are 2 run-heavy teams that, at the face of the league, are probably 2 top 5 teams in the league. So I think we're really seeing the return of the run. Obviously, the Bills and the Chiefs are over that next level because they have those next level quarterbacks who, it doesn't matter if you double team their guys deep down the field, they can still get it to them. But we're really seeing the return of the run this year, and I think that's why people have really assumed that the quality of football has gone down, which I don't think it has. I think that just defensive schemes have gotten much better.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up, this is kind of how they won in that 2016 season when they ended up being the 1 seed.
Talking about the Cowboys,
The
when
Cowboys,
Dak,
when they also ended up losing to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
Yeah, they can't ride Dak. They have to ride their backs.
So they must have gone on to win the Super Bowl then, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I really wish, but you mentioned Brandon Staley. We're going to talk about Broncos and Chargers.
Shocker! This is Cole's turd of the week. This is Cole. We didn't have one last week, but we have Cole's turd of the week. This one sucks. I don't want to watch the Broncos play anymore.
I don't think anybody likes the Broncos
Get them off.
this year.
Get them off the
Yeah.
schedule.
So
I just think this is an interesting matchup just because these two teams are really polar opposites of each other. The Chargers, such a great offense, really underwhelming defense.
And how is that even possible? Why are we watching these two teams? I'm gonna start getting madder and madder every time.
This is a
we
Monday
watch
Night
them.
Football game.
I know.
This week too.
We have to watch
we're
the
gonna have to
Broncos.
watch it.
We have to watch the Broncos. We have to watch the Chargers. The Chargers, you have so much talent. How are you this bad?
Joey Bosa's career is being wasted.
Derwin James, so many players, and Brandon Staley's like, I know I was the defensive coordinator, but I'm gonna make sure that our defense sucks. Sorry, you continue. I'm still gonna complain, but I'll save my complaining later.
I really don't like the Broncos at all. I just don't think their way that they're built is built to win, and their defense is such.
So you're telling me hiring a dumbass as your head coach is not the way to win?
Well, I don't think he was ready to be a head coach.
No, he wasn't.
I think he was fine for an offensive coordinator, just not ready for a head coach. I think Rodgers might have carried him and Devontae, because it seems like Rodgers can't really carry the Packers.
It was all that
anymore.
stupid quote in the press conference where Rodgers was like, well, if Nathaniel Hackett's going somewhere, I'm going there too. And then, oh, it didn't happen? Oh, okay. And now the Broncos are stuck with Russell Wilson, who looks like a shell of himself. I know that everybody's battling right now. Oh, is Russ good? Was Russ bad? Are you dumb for thinking that he's good? Or are you dumb for thinking that he's bad? I think it's fair to say he's not the same player. He's not.
They might have the worst quarterback situation in the league right now. Just
Exactly.
with considering his contract and everything.
Exactly. That's the thing. And I was shocked at the beginning of the year. Because that's the thing. Russell Wilson's a great quarterback, and I'm not trying to disrespect him there. But he's trending down. He was trending down after the last 2 years for the Seahawks. And he's trending down yet again. And I think that you just signed up for $50 million a year more of Russell Wilson. So dumb. But sorry.
And just speaking of Russ's contract, I think that kind of forces the Broncos into that worst situation in the league. I believe it's a 5-year contract with a 6-year option. I don't have it in front of me. I'm not totally sure about that, but that's just not the situation you want to have for the Broncos right now. They got to figure out a way to get Russ back into being Russ again. I don't know what happened to him. I really also like this storyline about Geno Smith performing a lot better than Russ. They upgraded at quarterback somehow with 30. He's 30-some years old.
Geno Smith is that
crazy.
guy. They wrote him off, but he ain't right back.
Is he?
Nope.
They wrote him off, but he ain't right back.
Is he gonna
All I gotta
rise
say.
into the top 10 for MVPs pretty soon here? I don't really know. He's,
Okay, if we're counting top 10s, what does that even mean?
I'm just
top
saying,
10 of MVP.
I'm just saying, he's performing lights out this year.
You get top 5 of MVP. That's where I crossed the line.
My goodness.
Derwin James does make quite an. I'm sorry. You just go ahead.
You making fun of me over here?
Maybe just a little bit.
Just a little bit. I want to start Melvin Gordon this week. Javonte Williams, he's on the IR this year, so I think that running back room, with Russ not really performing the greatest, I think that running back
They run the
room
ball
is
a lot.
Yeah, they do run the ball a lot. So only way the Broncos win, I would say, is if they just disrupt Justin Herbert enough to get some interceptions, just disrupt his timing and everything. Herbert's smarter than that, I believe, and he's pretty mobile, so he'll be able to overcome some of these. I like the Chargers in this. I'm going 26-16 Chargers win on Monday Night Football on the road.
I think the Turd Bowl is a perfect way to explain this
That's
game.
I like that.
I'm
taking that.
What do you call it?
I just say the turd.
Toilet.
The turd game?
Turd. Yeah. Toilet game of the week. Well, next week we'll have it figured out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Turd
Two bad, maybe not bad coaches, but two just weird maniac coaches. Brandon Staley tried to lose that Browns game last week. I don't know if you guys saw.
Yeah.
Going for it on 4th down when he could have tried to pin the Browns back deep, and then Cade York missed that field goal, or else the Chargers, they almost chargered that game up. But the Browns might be becoming the Chargers, honestly, with the way they lost to the Jets a couple weeks ago. Losing to the Falcons too, but, I mean, that's just nuts. Since Brandon Staley took over at the beginning of last year, the Chargers have been the model for inconsistency, only going 4-7 after a win. So they do not like to win back-to-back games.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think Chargers win easily. I like Justin Herbert over Russell Wilson, and it's crazy to sound, I like Brandon Staley over what? I couldn't even remember his name. He's so dumb. I hate him. Nathaniel Hackett.
The heck.
I don't like it. I usually, whenever I'm in doubt and in these weird, stupid games, I go with who has the best coach and who has the best quarterback. And Chargers have both. God, I hate watching these teams play.
What did Nathaniel Hackett do to you, Cole?
It's the worst football I've ever
to.
seen.
They're on prime time. So
Did you watch the
them.
Niners game? Did you watch the Colts game?
Sadly,
It's
a
the
Seahawks
worst.
game.
Yes. All of it is terrible. All of it's terrible. And I really, I wasn't the biggest Russ hater before the year. Grant, he's corny. He's very corny.
Oh,
There's all this stuff. I hate watching Hackett coach. Because it's like the wrong decision 85% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just like what you were pointing out with Brandon Staley, he does the same stuff where he's like, I'm going to live and die by the analytics. Why?
He's a defensive guy too. And
I know.
He's dipping his toe into the offense.
I
And
know.
Just
Like what you said,
Stay out of it.
if you don't go for it, like Jacoby Brissett is on the other side, dude.
you're good.
You're fine. He's like, oh, I don't know. The analytics tell me I can get this 4th and 2.
Maybe he was more worried about that rush attack.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for joining us. Episode 5. Talk with Branson. Hope you like that. It's a good talk, this guys. I hope that I get more right than you. I think I have the chance to do it. But once again, this has been episode 5 of the Inside Sports Podcast. DE capitalized. Cole, Joey, Jordan. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And then if you're checking us out on Spotify, give us a follow. Can you like on Spotify too?
I think you can.
If you can, do it. If you can't, well, who cares? Thanks for joining us. Have a good one.